many minutes were there? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You know what's going to happen, don't you? Yeah, try and read.
I know. I'm trying to work out how to actually go home.
Sorry.
Depends whether
he wants to.
No, I don't think it's confidential enough for that. We have a discretion. But you got... no way. No.
Just take the mic away from him and say exactly what you say. Not my decision.
Okay, we are ready. Right, welcome everybody to the additional council meeting, 7th June 2022. Welcome to staff, elected members, and those on Zoom and those on live stream. Councillor Holbrook, can you do the council blessing, please?
Ia mātou e whiriwhiri ana ina take ke mua i mātou aroaro. E pono ana mātou ka kaha tonu ki te whakapau mahara hua pai mō na hapuri i mahi ne mātou. Me kaha hoki mātou katoa kia whaihua kia tōtika ta mātou mahi a matamaia te tiro whakamua me te hihiri ka taia te arahi I roto I te kotahitanga me te aroha.
Thank you. Apologies. We've got Chris Pepps, Chair of the Otaki Community Board, but the place is taken by Cam. Welcome, Cam. And then we've got a number of people on Zoom. Can you see who are on Zoom?
Your Worship, so we have Councillor Randall, Councillor Compton, we have Councillor Hanford, and we have Kathy Spires, and we have Councillor Elliott on Zoom.
Okay.
And Councillor Pravanov is just coming in now.
Thank you. Item number 4, declarations of interest relating to items on the agenda. Do we have any? Councillor Boswell?
I have a conflict of interest
On?
The funding
Omicron.
for economic development,
Right.
seeing as I am a retailer in Kāpiti now.
Anybody else?
Your Worship, item 7.4, the Omicron Business Assistance Package, same as Councillor Buswell.
Okay, thank
So,
you very much.
retailer.
So noted. Public speaking time for items relating to the agenda. I believe we have one speaker. Mr. Chris Mitchell, you are on Zoom. You can start when you're ready.
I'm not sure whether you have those.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so there's really 4 points I wanted to make. Firstly, quite clearly, Te Ātiawa does want a more effective partnership with Council, and it's given some fairly compelling examples in its review as to the frustrations that it's had with the current arrangements. My first point, though, is whether really the recommendations you have in front of you are going to make any significant difference to those concerns, which are almost, if you look at them, entirely operational in nature. That means that those are decisions and conversations and emissions, if you like, that sit quite outside of the Council's and the Committee's normal business. Second point, perhaps a bit more important, the General Memorandum of Partnership Te Whakamanenga o Kāpiti involves not just Te Ātiawa, but of course 2 other iwi, and one would have expected a response by the Council to frustrations expressed by one party and in fact an intention to exit the partnership to be the subject of consultation with the other parties. I mean, that's pretty much what the memorandum requires, is that all the parties, the council and the three iwi, act with each other in the utmost good faith and consult on changes or differences between them. And there is absolutely no mention that I could see in the reports you have in front of you that those conversations have been had at all, let alone in the sort of detail that you might expect. Then perhaps just as seriously, my third point is that there is no record of discussion with anyone else. Recall that this was a proposal to change your governance arrangements, but I'm not focusing, as I've said here, on the majority of the district population, which doesn't identify as Māori, but may nevertheless have some valid views on governance, but rather on the substantial majority of the Māori population, which does not have any affiliation to any of the three iwi in the memorandum. Council does have a statutory obligation, which I think is sometimes overlooked, to the Māori population in its district. We focus a lot on the structure of the RMA, which is very iwi-centric, requires a lot of consultation at different levels between council and iwi, and effectively partnerships, which most councils have. But we tend to conflate those RMA-specific requirements with general governance requirements, which exist under the Local Government Act, which actually creates the council, of course. And there's no really mention of iwi at all in the Local Government Act. What it's about, and one of the specific things in terms of the treaty principles, is building the capacity of Māori to contribute to governance and to decision making. So where's this in all of this? Where do the non-iwi Māori, who are the biggest percentage of Māori in this district, sit there? Again, no consideration. Really isn't good enough. The last thing I wanted to say is perhaps self-evident. This is a partnership of long standing. It's obviously caused a lot of frustration for Te Ātiawa, but more work is needed on how to improve it. It's regrettable that one of the examples that Te Ātiawa gave was that when they gave notice of wanting to exit the partnership, you as councillors weren't even informed for 6 months. So a significant change to governance arrangements in the last few weeks of this council's term really doesn't do anyone any favours. As I've said in my first point, I think it's unlikely to actually solve the problems that Te Ātiawa have faced. But more fundamentally, you need, as councillors, and you need to tell your management this as well, you need to have discussions with a much wider range of people before you even understand the problem, let alone try and bed in some solutions. So thank you for your time, and good luck with your deliberations.
Thank you. Do you want a quick staff response to yours? Because, pardon? Is there any questions from councillors?
Well, if there's no questions, I would just say one more thing. Have a read of the Memorandum of Partnership. I'm not suggesting that you haven't all done that, but have a read of it. It should have been properly attached to the papers you got, but that is the foundation, really, for your
Thank you for the reminder, but I think I'm confident that most of the councillors would have read it. Right. No other questions? Do you want to quickly respond?
I think most of the points that Mr. Mitchell has raised will be addressed as part of staff comments around the reports when we get to that part of the agenda. But one point that I will make now is just to confirm that we have engaged with all three iwi in relation to the proposed changes to the governance structure, as is stated in paragraph 53 of that report.
Right. That brings an end to item number 5. Janice has just explained some of the responses will be, in terms of the general paper, we'll be discussing later. Can I just have the leave of absence? Any leave of absence? No. Matters of an urgent nature. I have not been informed of any. I think this is a good point to now adjourn this meeting because we've got unfinished business from the briefing. I move that we adjourn this meeting until 2:40 later today. Can I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Janet Holbrook. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Carried. We now adjourn this meeting until 2:40. We now back into the briefing very soon. But in the meantime, technical work needs to be done.